Welcome back, guys. Good to be back on. It's been a while. Yeah, lots going on. Lots of people are feeling the effects of the realignment, shall we say, of planetary consciousness. There's a lot of things moving behind the scenes. As an add-on to the COVID energy and the whole spiritual reason for that, and bringing us back into more alignment with our soul and that inward path. I think that energy is now turning again because obviously everyone wanted to get out. Now also winter's come here, especially in the northern hemisphere, but more importantly, energetically, what's happening over the next 3 months is a real sort of turn and twist in the subconscious. And we spoke before about, everyone's soul is trying to get their human extension, their human self awakened, brought into the present moment, getting off this linear timeline, and being just still and in that process of being. And that is when the magic happens. It's the frequency now that's coming is so powerful, so enlightening, that by just being still, you can move mountains, and we've got to get human beings out of this mental energy of rush, strive, struggle, because it's what's exhausting people. And we're becoming more separate from each other. And that frequency is really starting to show itself now. Because, we get this sort of, stuff on through our natural or main channels, should I say. Sort of creating this narrative of, things are getting better and this and that. But really the change has to occur within our own bodies, within our consciousness. We've talked many times about cellular communication. If you're present, if you're owning yourself, if you are working on yourself and you're being honest with that integrity of your soul energy, that has a huge effect on everyone around you, but also feeding up into human collective consciousness, which is, the main agenda, is that we're all connected into that energy, into that belt of consciousness. And this is why, you can work on yourself and you can do a lot of work and meditation and you can really still feel our thoughts, because you're magnetically drawn in to everyone else's fear, panic, anxiety, and all the rest of it. So it's going to be a challenging time for the next few months, and it's really important to go inwards now. This is the time to do it. It has been obviously for a couple of years now, but really everything's opening up more now, and the energy is coming on much stronger, and you can feel it. And what's happening, if you don't acknowledge it for what it is going to trigger the shadow self. Now, the shadow self is the biggest part of the healing anyway. But if it triggers the shadow self without you being conscious of it, it can bring up the despair, the fear, the panic, and it can really augment that process. And that's what's now happening with a lot of people. But if you're conscious of why it's coming in, and then you still feel those energies, you're more in a place where you can acknowledge them and let them go much easier, and understand that it's actually a positive thing, not a negative, because our human brain is programmed to believe that is something that we should deny and push away. We know that doesn't work, otherwise we'd be in the mess we're in. So it's really about just being present, being still, being in that space, and then everything will be revealed to you. And this is such a fantastic time to connect with the non-physical, to connect with our brethren out of this planet. And there's so many beings, non-physical, physical, helping us and assisting us at this time. And this brings us on to this message of Lyra. Now, this is part of the planetary alignment that I'm doing. But I believe there's going to be a lot more of this coming through now. And the talks were a little bit more information before. Now they're coming through with more healing and activations. So really do them. They're real. This is an authentic channel, and these are authentic messages. And anyone that's just meeting me now, I've been involved in this my whole life. I've had many, esoteric, shall we say, experiences. So anything that I sort of say is validated through my own experience, and that's also what's important for people. And that's where the trust issue comes in. If they haven't had those sort of psychic experiences, or fey or out of world experiences, then it's harder to trust. Once you have those experiences, you sort of get in alignment with them much easier. But these sort of opportunities that are coming now with these channel messages will give you those experiences, because you'll feel it come into your body, you'll feel it come into the room. And everyone will have, it's a subjective experience, of course, but you will build rapport with that process. And that's what's really important, because once you start to get the trust wheel going, then everything starts to fall into place, and there's so many sabotaging belief systems in our subconscious that really block that information moving through. And I'm going to talk a little about my teachings at the end. And the conscious that I work with, they're very instrumental in evolving the mind complex and re-energizing the meridian system, so it's opening to a level that will bring divine current, the divine algorithm back in the body. And then obviously the heart chakra can open, because the spirit needs to come into the heart to be fully manifested here as a full universal being. But to simplify that process, we're taking misinformation out of the cells, because the cells are what's causing the problem at the moment, because they're unilaterally polarized, either with fear and the umbrella of all the emotions under fear, or misinformation, because we're not conscious of why we're here, what we're doing. And like I said on videos before, no one really questions why we're here. No one even understands why we're here. We're just living. We just see this sort of tunnel vision, linear perspective timeline, but no one really asks the big questions. They don't get inquisitive about life beyond, about why they're in a body, what really keeps their heart beating, how we're even here. And it's those questions that break through the conformity, the stifling of the soul. Because if you don't question and get inquisitive, you become mundane, dogma sets in, and this is what a lot of people suffer with. And then of course medication. Most people default to that, or alcohol and drugs. It gets you so far, it gets you out of that experience, but really what it's doing is still suppressing the emotional body, and it's the emotions that are trying to come up so they can be acknowledged. So the process is unfolding, and I've said before, the more you work on yourself, that affects everyone around you. So most people say, well, what can I do? I'm a housewife, or I just work in IT, or I don't have a spiritual awakening. But if that one person starts to work on themselves, then everyone in that office will start to be affected, and the people that want to wake up in that office will feed off his receptor cells that are emanating that new consciousness, that new light, and then they will double effect. Then that goes on to the next person. It's a domino effect. That's how the light transmutes on the planet. It has to come into the body, has to come into the cells. The information in the cells then reactivates itself with stellar communication, not human conditioning, or the paradigm we're fed here. And then that, of course, changes the vibratory rate in the body. It's science. It's science at the end of the day. Universal laws. There is no hippie New Age movement in any of this. And that's what we need to get away from in the New Age movement. We need to come down to the actual universal laws, or what's actually really happening. And of course, obviously, acknowledgement, imagination, observation, these types of implement these types of ways of being. Then of course that comes into alignment with the old medicine, the old ways, which are really the real ways. We've just obviously blocked those through modern medicine. Evolving at a rate where, if you detach from the soul and try to do everything through the logic and through the mental energy without the love of the feminine energy, then of course that's where things can get deleterious and harmful. We see that all the time. Nuclear energy, for example, obviously they always say, if you create something, make sure you can transmute it. And this is the problem. We create a lot of things, but we can't transmute them. Hence plastic, for example. Look at what plastic's doing to the oceans, all the rest of it. We need to be able to break that down. We don't have the technology because we're not in alignment with the feminine consciousness. So again, this is about the feminine, this is about reawakening, but it's not about ascending, because we're already ascended everywhere. This is about being soul present in your body while you're walking on the planet. And it's very, very simple. The hardest part is believing and trusting in the process. But this process is so simple. The universal laws are very simple. And we want to bring this teaching back to the simplicity of what it is, because we're too exhausted for another full set of rules and procedures on how to govern our lives and our bodies and understand who we are. So, and of course, when a lot of that gets put out, it gets corrupted misinformation. Many people talk about religion being seeded, with the right intention. And there's still a thread of that, but then again, there's also a lot of fear implanted into it. Who knows how it all got corrupted along the way, but that's the planet, and that's the consciousness or polarity we live in. But we have a choice now, and that's the thing. We have a choice to be more conscious. So really, it's a simple choice that you make to yourself. So I'm going to read off this next message. Okay, so this from Lyra. Okay, so we come today to bring our essence to the very heart of human struggle. We have played in polarity for longer than you know, and our understanding of the hardships endured through loss of connection can create a magnitude of problems. And this is what humanity is now facing on the dawn of a rebirth. We always move closer when Earth's cycles change, and we are working around your medical world, assisting those that have lost empathy for their fellow human beings. The problem is health has become a business, and many suffer through misdiagnosis. There is currently 3 billion people on your planet at the moment that are suffering huge distress, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts of flying off your planet every day. The lack of love for one another has reached its limits. And people are retreating back into themselves because they are exhausted by the world stage. We would like human beings to invite us in, giving permission to bring the calm and gentleness to their hearts as they sit and receive our love. We would like human beings to be touched by unconditional love, to truly know they are always supported by the non-physical, including awakened physical beings of a non-terrestrial origin. With your permission, we'll merge back into the back of your heart chakra. Sit for 20 minutes and invoke us, the Lyrian consciousness. The despair, loneliness and fear that sits in the majority of the human race must be heard. It must be acknowledged and given the utmost attention. The system on the planet is failing, but it will balance itself out because that's the nature of polarity. However, during that rebalance, humans will become unbalanced, and these next 3 years will test the human spirit. Those that cannot accept love from a place they don't consciously understand will navigate themselves much easier through the chaos. We move in orbs. You will see or sense us as we merge. Accepting the unseen or even acknowledging us will always be a challenge because, like everything unseen, it requires trust and surrender. Unfortunately, this is something humanity has lost. You are in the infancy of awakening your emotional bodies, and this is something that will take time. Too many people are in denial of themselves, refusing to go into their pain. This holds up the entire human race. It's very important that you become conscious of what is unconscious, allowing a natural oscillation of what is denied to surface. You cannot fix anything with your mind unless you feel your feelings, your emotions. And too many people are caught up in a logical healing. But it's redundant. It doesn't work unless you allow your own soul to embrace its physical self, which is you. We will primarily come through as feminine with the support of the masculine. When you sit for 20 minutes invoking us in, allow yourself to receive. Don't try and control the experience. Just focus on your breathing. You may see or experience 3 dots or circles. This is us as we travel. As we said, we are working with the consciousness of your current medical profession to open them up to the old way of healing, the holistic approach. and soon you will notice a change. But until then, it is our recommendation you take time to be present in your bodies while we work with you. So yeah, so it's a great message, like the last one. I can't remember the last one we did. There was another healing on meditation. If you haven't done that, just get onto the last video. You know, these messages are coming at the time when we need them. So, you know, take the time to sit. It says sit for 20 minutes. I would do that maybe, you know, maybe once, twice a week, maybe 2-3 times a week. Just depends on how much you need, and you'll feel that experience. Again, that's subjective to everyone, but I would do this at least, you know, 5 or 6 times minimum, because there's a lot of, you know, that they will create a healing and they will work with your soul because you've given the permission, you see. So as soon as you give permission, you know, the soul can do a lot of work. So, you know, that's why we live in a free will universe, but you have to put your hand up and say, yeah, I'm ready, I'll give permission. You know, and that's a lot of how it works now. All right, guys, so, oh yeah, I was going to talk a bit about the alignment modality. So I've got the new module 1 running in March. Check out all the links. You can come onto my website, www.alignmentmodality.com. It's under courses. There will be some, I'll post as well some a landing page or, you know, advertisement for that. What's involved on the social media as well. And any questions, just email me. And I will see you all again very soon. Thank you very much.